How many of you dislike it when a light comes on the dash of your vehicle? Well, the one that most commonly comes on that I can tell is the change your oil soon light, and it seems to be coming on all the time. And that's why I learned how to change the vehicle, or the oil in my vehicle, so that I can change it whenever that light comes on. I've successfully changed the oil in my vehicle several times, and I can tell you from experience, it's definitely worth the effort to learn how to change your oil so that when that light does come on, you don't have to take it to a mechanic every couple of months and pay them to change the oil for you. Now, to successfully complete an oil and oil filter change in your vehicle, you're going to need a couple of materials. First, you're going to want a container to catch the old oil out of your oil pan. Second, you're going to want a wrench to remove the drain plug bolt in your oil pan. Third, you're going to need an oil filter wrench to remove the old oil filter out of your vehicle. Then you're going to need a funnel to add new oil to your vehicle. You're going to need fresh oil and a new oil filter for your vehicle as well. Now, to successfully complete the oil and oil filter change in your vehicle, you're going to have 8 main steps. The first is going to be to drain the old oil out of your vehicle. Second, to remove the old filter out of your vehicle. Third, you're going to want to coat the O-ring on the new filter with oil. And fourth, you're going to want to put the new filter in your vehicle. Now, fifth, you're going to put the drain plug back in the oil pan. Then you're going to want to put new oil in your vehicle. Seventh, you're going to check the amount of oil in your engine to make sure it's full. And then eighth, you're going to want to let the engine run for a few minutes before you drive it. So, to begin, before we begin, we have a warning to let your engine cool before you attempt to change the oil. If you change the oil right after it's been running, the oil could be hot enough to burn you since it's just been in the engine. So I would recommend letting it sit and cool for about an hour before you actually change your oil. So the first step of changing the oil in your car is to first remove the old filter out of the old oil out of your oil pan. To do this, you're going to want to locate the oil pan, which is usually located under your vehicle's engine underneath your car. And it's going to look something like this. It may be a little different shape or size, but that's generally what it's going to look like. You're going to want to find the drain plug on your oil pan. Now, once you find that bolt, you're going to want to use a wrench such as this one to remove that bolt out of your oil pan. But before you do that, you want to put the container underneath that bolt so that it catches the oil that drains out of there. After you put the container under, you're going to want to go ahead and remove that bolt and drain the old oil out and let it all drain out. Now, the next step in the process is to remove that old oil filter. Now, to do this, you're going to want to look for an oil filter such as this one. This is generally what they'll look like, and they may be a little bit different size or shape, but that's in general what they look like. Now, to remove that old filter, you're going to want to use a wrench such as this one. This allows removing the oil filter relatively easy without too much difficulty. Now, after we've located and removed that old filter, you want to go ahead and coat the O-ring on the new oil filter with oil. The O-ring is located right here on the new oil filter, and you just want to coat that O-ring with oil to keep it from cracking or drying out, and so that it can have a nice seal on your oil filter. Now, after you've coated that O-ring in oil, you're going to want to go ahead and install that new oil filter right where that old oil filter was. You're going to want to use that oil filter wrench that we used to remove the old one and put it right back in where the old one was. Now, after we install the new oil filter on your vehicle, you're going to put the drain plug bolt back into the oil pan right where we took it out. This keeps the new oil from draining out onto the ground and having to buy more oil. After we put the drain plug bolt back into the oil pan, we're going to want to go ahead and put new oil in your vehicle. Now, before you can add new oil, you want to check with your manufacturer about a few different things about the type of oil you want to put in. There's usually 3 different types of oil. There's full synthetic, partial synthetic, or detergent oil that you can use, and you want to check with your manufacturer to find out which one they recommend for your vehicle. You also want to find out the type of oil that your engine takes. Some engines take 5W30, some take 5W20, or even 10W30. It just depends on your vehicle, and you want to find out from the manufacturer what type of oil your engine takes. After you found those 2 things out, you can go ahead and find the oil that you have and then you need to locate the oil tube that allows you to add more oil to your engine. This is going to be under your hood and usually on top of your engine. Once you find that, the cap is going to have the second number that we talked about, such as 5W30 or whatever it may be, and you want to go ahead and remove that cap. Then you're going to use the funnel to add new oil into that tube. Now, the third thing we want to check with our manufacturer is how much oil they recommend to be able to fill the engine with oil. Once we find out what that number is, we add that much oil to the engine and then replace the cap back onto the engine. Now, after this, you want to find the dipstick in your engine. This is a small tube with a yellow handle that your finger can easily slip through that's usually located somewhere around your engine. Now, once you find it, you want to pull it out. You want to wipe the measuring end off, stick it all the way back in, and then remove it back out to get an accurate reading of the amount of oil in your engine. Now, if the oil in your vehicle is not completely full, you want to go ahead and add enough oil to fill it up. Be careful not to overfill your engine with oil, but you do want it to be full so that it's not driving on too little oil. Now, after we've checked the amount of oil to make sure that it's full, we want to go ahead and let the engine run for a few minutes before we drive it. This allows the oil to circulate and so that it can cool the engine before you drive it. So, in conclusion, we've looked at the 8 steps of 1, draining the old oil, 2, removing the old oil filter, 3rd, we coated the O-ring on the new oil filter with oil, 4, we put the new filter on, then we added the drain plug back into the oil pan, we put the new oil in, we checked the level of the oil, and then we let the engine run so that we can successfully complete an oil filter and oil change in our vehicle. Thank you.